Thanks for having us today here. My name is Irene Burga. I'm the Climate Justice and Clean Air Program Director at Green Latinos. I'm from Los Angeles, California. Green Latinos is an active comunidad of Latino leaders emboldened by the power and wisdom of our culture and driven to secure our environmental liberation. I'm here today representing hundreds of Latinos across the country that are disappointed by the standards proposed by the EPA to limit the devastating impact of toxic pollution harming millions of residents. Simply put, the proposed standards fail to meet the recommendations of the agency's own scientific advisory panel, as we've heard a lot today. President Biden and his EPA must act swiftly and boldly to finalize the strongest possible science-based soot pollution standards that will ensure cleaner and safer air for families, advance environmental justice, and protect our health. In my testimony today, I'd like to highlight that failing to propose stricter standards is an equity issue, as it will disproportionately impact communities of color in this country, and I'll highlight particularly the impacts on Latino communities. Latinos have long borne the brunt of the air pollution in this country because we're overrepresented in outdoor occupations such as agriculture, construction, and landscaping. We are more regularly exposed to unsafe levels of soot, a byproduct of fossil fuel that comes from diesel engines, tailpipes, and smokestacks, among other sources, and consists of those tiny little particles that are impacting our health. Due to its small size, we know that soot can penetrate our lungs and bloodstream, causing devastating health impacts and premature death. It is one of the reasons Latinos in America have disproportionately high rates of asthma, a reality that most gravely impacts our children, who are 40% more likely than their white counterparts to die from this disease. Soot was a fact of life throughout my childhood in Whittier, a primarily Latino community in Los Angeles County and home to the Santa Fe oil field. Growing up, the sight of active smokestacks was commonplace as news that a friend or family was suffering from a respiratory illness came often. In short, I've seen firsthand how damaging PM 2.5 can be to the health of our families and how insufficient pollution standards further exacerbate inequities in our society. I'll also add, as you all are probably aware, Southern California is out of attainment for several of the criteria air pollutants, including soot. And it's really, really, really critical, because air pollution is such an extreme problem in this region, that we continue elevating and really pushing for the cleaner air standards in order to protect the health of our communities. With the soot pollution standard review and update, your agency has an opportunity to further its goal of using science-based federal policy to address environmental racism. According to the EPA's own evaluation, adopting an alternative annual standard of 8 micrograms per cubic meter would virtually eliminate disparities in soot exposure and prevent 9,200 premature deaths. And in communities of color, communities that are often overburdened by pollution, a stronger soot standard is expected to at least partially close some of the well-known racial disparities in health outcomes. With stronger updated limits on soot pollution, no higher than 8 micrograms per cubic meter and 25 micrograms per cubic meter for annual, the EPA can save nearly 20,000 lives each year. Communities of color are paying the high price for inaction. By tightening soot protections, other dangerous pollutants from these sources will also be reduced, and communities
Excuse me, Carolina, your time is up. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yes.
Okay, thank
thanks.
you. Let me ask the panelists, do they have any clarifying questions?
No questions.
Okay. Our next speaker